This is the Reviewing Network Live, a weekly stream of consciousness recording session where I sit back with you folks out there, talk about some of the big news stories from the past week, and some other things I found that might be of amusement to you out there. I think you might get a kick out of it. Now, these are more like audio podcasts and are much longer than my usual videos and are also, for the most part, unedited and will contain some foul language. So, if you're easily offended by that, I advise you to maybe step back a bit, maybe go somewhere else. But hey, if you're up to the challenge, sit back, relax, and enjoy the show. Thanks. And for the 122nd time ever, we are live from the Reviewing Network studios. Hello, everybody, and welcome to the last Reviewing Network Live for 2025. It has been a pretty impressive, pretty good year for us here. Everywhere else, not so much. But yeah, as you can see, I'm kind of in a sour mood because remember the thing I said yesterday in the Anaconda review that you can't trust the Steelers to go into Cleveland and go in there and win, even though they had the better record and they're facing a 3-win Browns team. Yeah, that's why. I think you know what happened. Yeah, Steelers didn't show up, had a chance to clinch the division, clinch the playoffs. Didn't have to make Week 18 a must-win game for the Ravens to go in there, and of course they didn't do it. Of course they didn't do it. As you can tell, I'm kind of not in the best mood right now, but I'm gonna power through here. Maybe I need to be this way because we're gonna do a lot of because a lot of the news stories this week really kind of sum up the week in general. It has been rough. It has not been pleasant. Some things happen in the world of entertainment that I'm not too fond of, and more importantly, around here, we're dealing with an electrical problem. Our circuit breaker's not working, and so, I shouldn't say it's not working because here's the thing. Half of the house is working fine. The electricity is working fine. Like, I can go out into the hallway here, or go to the bathroom, or go to the back bedroom, go down to the kitchen, go down the downstairs hallway, and it'll be fine. But if I want to watch TV but if I want to use the lamp in here while I'm watching TV and doing the computer, I've had no problems. But nope, in the last week, every time I do that, power goes out. And this area goes out here, not just down here. The garage light will go off too. The basement light goes off too. I mean, it's just. And the bad news is we're not getting another one until at the very earliest Tuesday morning. So I still have 2 more days of this. But the good news is the last couple of days the electricity has not been a problem, mostly because we've cut down on some things right now. I can still watch TV. I can still do the computer, but trying to do all the things I did before is tough to do. So I'm mostly spending my days in the dark because I can't turn the light on without the fear of the power going out. So yeah, I'm doing this in the dark right now. I feel like I should be like one of those late night radio talk show hosts. The Quiet Storm, talking about. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I got my cigarettes right here, just like, and welcome to the Quiet Storm. That type of thing. That's what it feels like right now. But anyway, I'm going to power through this. We have a lot to get to here, but I promise you there will be some good things in this week's show as well, because later on in the show, we're going to take a look at my best and worst TV shows of 2025. And the good news is that there was not a lot of bad TV in 2025, shockingly. But there was some stuff we're talking about. But there was a lot of good stuff this year in television. But we're going to get to all that and more. But before we do any of that, let's go ahead and dive on into what we usually start off with here. And that is, of course, the weekend box office. It's, of course, Christmas weekend. The buzz has been building on what the box office is going to be like as the weekend goes on, with only a select few new releases this weekend. And 2 of the 3 made it into the top 5 this weekend. So let's start off with one of those new releases, number 5 this week, which was Anaconda, which I reviewed that yesterday. And if you didn't see it already, let's just say that I was not too fond of that movie. What a shocker. Is a movie where it's basically, let's make a parody out of a so bad it's good movie, and surely audiences will come to see it. And what a shocker. Not a lot of audiences came out to see it. I mean, it didn't do bad business overall, but number 5 this weekend, $14.5 million, If you include the 5-day total from Christmas Eve, $23.6 million. The good news is that this movie has a budget of $45 million. And it's nearing that if you count worldwide numbers, $43.6 million. So I guess that's good news, but this was a bad idea from the get-go. This is one of the worst movies I've seen this year. And, you know, it's never too late to put a really bad movie in there, as we're just 4 days away from the new year. But lo and behold, Anaconda made that list. And congratulations, Jack Black. 2 of the worst films of the year have your name on it. So I hope you're happy with yourself, as you're not even... as I guarantee you're not even listening to this right now. In fact, you probably don't even know who I am, But with that said, let's go ahead and get to number 4 this week, which was number 3 last week. The Housemaid, only dropping 19% from last week, $15.4 million. 2 weeks out, $46.5 million if you count the worldwide numbers. Not really making much of a dent in international numbers as of yet, but $46 million for a movie that really did not have a big budget overall. I think it only cost about, $35 million. So it's instant profit from them going forward. Talked about this movie last week. Thought it was a lot of fun, and the power just went out. The power just went out again. Of course it did. I will be back. Yeah, I just want you to see what I'm talking about here. Like in here, nothing is working. I can't turn the light off here. But if I go on in here, look at that. Electricity. Look at that, electricity. Look at that, electricity. It makes no sense. Okay, 50 minutes later, we have electricity again, and this whole thing is ridiculous. This whole thing going on right now with the electricity and all that, but I'm going to power through here. I'm going to try to get this done here, so let's go ahead and continue on with the box office. Moving on to number 3 this week. Moving up from its limited release last week, which actually made it into the top 10. The Timothée Chalamet star Marty Supreme got a wide release this weekend, brought in $15.6 million this weekend, bringing its two-week total after opening on Christmas Eve to $28.3 million. No worldwide numbers yet here, but this is one of the big Oscar contenders, and it's not really hard to see why. And I highly doubt this thing had a significant budget overall, but... or maybe this one does. $60 to $70 million. Holy shit. But, yeah, $60 to $70 million is a lot of money, but hey, it should make that money back in no time, especially with the Oscar buzz building behind it. So, hey, you take what you can get in here in this situation, so. So with that said, let's go ahead and move on to the number 2 movie this week, moving back up 3 spots from number 5, and that is Zootopia 2, which actually improved from last week. 34.7% increase to $20 million even, bringing its 5-week total now to $321.3 million. Worldwide, $1.4 billion. One of the biggest hits for Disney this year, so it's not hard to see why. We've talked about this movie long enough, so let's go ahead and move on to number 1. The number 1 movie this week, and it really should not come as a surprise to anybody. Avatar, Fire, and Ash, or as I like to call it, Avatar, Fire, and Ash. $64 million this weekend, only dropping 28.2% from last weekend, bringing its 2-week total to $217.7 million. Worldwide, it's at $760 million. If you want to compare previous movies in the series, the second weekend for Avatar, the second Avatar movie, The Way of Water, was $63 million, $261 million in total, so about $50 million short of that movie in particular. But if you go back to the original Avatar back in 2009, it brought in $75 million on its second weekend, $212.7 million. So it's ahead of that movie. But then again, Avatar went on to continue having legs at the box office and made over $700 million. So I doubt that's going to happen again with this movie here. But yeah, that's really not much of a shock there in general. But $64 million for that movie, $217 million, and what am I trying to say here? They have as much lane to do whatever they want to as they can, because there's not a big new theatrical release coming for a number of weeks coming up. I don't think we're going to get another film that could compete with that probably until the end of next month or even early February at this point. I don't know. It's going to be interesting to see how this one pans out. But so anyway, that is the weekend box office in 2025, and that is the last weekend in full. We'll see how New Year's weekend pans out overall, but then again, no big new releases coming up, so we'll see a lot of repeats this next week. So that's for certain. So So with that said, let's go ahead and get on to the stories of the week here, and we're starting off with a couple of downers here, because yeah, this first one here really is very depressing to hear. So yeah, this was kind of a shocker to start the week off. Adam the Woo, who, if you know, if for those of you who don't know who he is, he's a daily vlogger. He is most people will know him from his work from doing like video vlogs for Disney, for the Disney parks, Universal parks, basically all the theme parks in all the different areas. Like it's just it was something. It was something. It was one of those things where, mostly thanks to the Tim Tracker, I knew who this guy was because I was following the Tim Tracker videos for so long, and I would see Adam the Will in there for so many years, and that's how I kind of got to know who he was. But sadly, we got some tragic news this week that he passed away this week. This is from TMZ, which is probably not the best place to go to for a story like this, but YouTube star Adam the Woo has died, TMZ has learned. A spokeswoman for Osceola County Sheriff's Office tells TMZ deputies were first dispatched to Adams' house outside of Orlando, Florida around 12:24 p.m. Monday for a well-being check. We're told the house was secure, but deputies were unable to make contact with the adult male who lived there. The sheriff's office tells us deputies returned to the address later in the afternoon at around 2:53 p.m. after receiving a call for an unattended death. Authorities say a friend became concerned, borrowed a ladder, and looked through a third-story window when he saw Adam lying on a bed not moving. Deputies entered the residence alongside fire rescue, and Adam pronounced deceased inside the home. The medical examiner will conduct an autopsy to determine the cause of death. Investigators say that the friend who discovered him had seen Adam the day before. Authorities also told us that they notified Adam's father, who lives locally about his death. Whatever that is, that's a weird sentence to end there, but Adam the Woo rose to fame through his popular YouTube channel where he documented travel, theme parks, roadside attractions, and pop culture locations, growing a massive following over the years. Adam was 51 years old. And I mean, obviously the news of his death was shocking enough, but I think the most shocking thing to me was that 51 years old. I did not think he looked 51 years old. I mean, he looked like he was in his 40s, but I mean, 51 years old. I mean, he looked pretty good. He looked pretty good for 51 years old, but yeah, this is obviously a really tragic story that happened here. I mean, this is a guy that, this is the guy that you could tell really did love his work and overall, and it felt like he was really, he liked doing what he doing. He liked going around the country to go check out these popular attractions and all that, not just Disney parks and all that, but it was just very fun to watch overall. And yeah, it was fun to watch him whenever I found him about 10 years ago. And honestly, the first thing I ever saw him in was when the Disneyland had that 24-hour celebration for its 60th anniversary. I think it was. That was the first full video I ever saw of him, and that's how I knew he was going to all these different film locations, like Back to the Future. He'd go to the Psycho set. He'd go to the Universal, Disney, all these places, and the real thing that was kind of a bummer about that was that he was going into these places. He was kind of the precursor to a lot of people that go into like abandoned buildings and all that, because he'd go to places that have obviously been shut down. Like one of the big things was that he was banned from Universal because he went into Nickelodeon Studios while it was in construction and going into these areas that you shouldn't be going to, and he was actually banned from Disney World for a little bit too, until he was eventually brought back in for going into Disney MGM Studios and going to all these places that you shouldn't go to. But Disney eventually lifted the ban there, and he was able to go back there. But I mean, it was unfortunate. It was really unfortunate overall about what happened to him. And this is somebody that I don't usually watch on a regular basis, but it's still sad to see here. And just judging by the way it's sounding like, I don't want to say it's suicide, but it's sadly looking like it's heading in that direction here. I mean, it could be something else, but maybe it could be carbon monoxide poisoning or something like that. But it definitely sounds like potentially maybe he killed himself. But I don't want to spread those rumors out there at all. But because I don't want to give you guys bum information there. That's just my personal guess there. But regardless, this took me back. This took me off a little bit when that happened. Just like, whoa, he died this week. It's just like, yeah, it's unfortunate, man. It's just, I really enjoyed his work overall. I thought he was a very good YouTuber, and yeah, it's sad to see him go. So rest in peace, Adam. You were definitely a person that really made a lot of people very happy. I've never heard anybody say anything really bad about him, which I don't think there really is anything to say bad about him overall. He seems like a really cool guy. So yeah, it's really sad to happen here. So rest in peace, Adam the Woo. You will definitely be missed very much. So yeah, that unfortunately happened to him, and that was a real downer. But then another major downer of a story took place this week. So yeah, Paramount promised us that with Warner Brothers there'll be more increasing. There's going to be a bigger increase in theatrical releases. You know, we're going to put out more movies in theaters, and we're going to do all this. It's just please don't go to Netflix, Warner Brothers, because we guarantee you that we're going to be putting more movies in theaters. And yeah, that narrative immediately went out the door. Not even but a month in to that statement being made, because guess what happened this week? Legend of Aang, The Last Airbender will skip theaters and debut on Paramount Plus alongside new Seven Havens series. Hello? Hello? Anybody home? Think, David, think. Think about what you just said at the start of the month, and now you do this. It's just... this is from The Hollywood Reporter. The upcoming feature, The Legend of Aang, The Last Airbender, will bypass the theatrical debut in October 2026 and premiere on Paramount Plus as the streamer becomes the exclusive home of all content from Avatar Studios, the creative force behind the beloved and acclaimed Nickelodeon series Avatar: The Last Airbender. Ditto for the new series, Avatar: Seven Havens. Both animated projects are being produced by Avatar Studios, which was formed in 2021 under Nickelodeon as a division designed to create a new, ever-growing universe based on the worlds of Avatar and subsequent series The Legend of Korra. There's more on The Legend of Aang front. Taika Waititi, Geraldine Viswanathan, D. Bradley Baker, Peter Sergeant, Frida Pinto, and Ki-Hu Kwan have joined previously announced cast members Dave Bautista, Eric Nam, Jessica Mateen, Diane Kwan, Roman Zaragoza, and Stephen Yen. And here's the kicker here. The Avatar universe has captured audiences for 2 decades, and Paramount Plus is proud to be the exclusive streaming home for its beloved animation incarnation, said Jane Wiseman, head of originals for Paramount Plus. The Legend of Aang, The Last Airbender, and Avatar: Seven Havens represents the next evolution of storytelling from Avatar Studios, bringing together remarkable talents both in front of and behind the camera to deliver the epic adventures and emotional depth fans have come to expect, she said. Adding these additions alongside The Legend of Korra and the original series solidified Paramount Plus as the destination for the animated Avatar universe. Well, that's fine and all, but here's the problem. This movie was made for theaters. And you're literally telling Warner Brothers to go with them because they guarantee more for theatrical push. And you do this shit here? You basically tell them that, yeah, we're going to do this, and then go behind their backs and go like, yeah, we're not going to do this. Yeah, this thing here, no, it's not going to theaters. But yeah, this is the reason why everybody should be worried about Paramount taking over Warner Brothers, because here is their remarkable slate for 2026. I mean, who needs Avatar when you got stuff like Scream 7 and Scary Movie 6 and Paw Patrol the Dino movie and Street Fighter and Fokker-in-Law and the Angry Birds movie 3 and only one movie of noteworthiness that isn't a property, Primate, and also, hey, a Billie Eilish movie from James Cameron, and the Johnny Depp's Ebenezer: A Christmas Carol movie, which, yeah, that's going to bring in the numbers. Not, but, yeah, it's... You see the problem here? You start to see the problem here? This should be a big red flag from Warner Brothers, and that should basically tell them, don't go to Paramount. Like, we don't care what Paramount's offering you. This is why we're not doing this, because there are so many problems with this whole thing. Right down to the fact that Paramount is trying desperately hard to get the studio, and meanwhile they're not doing anything to get in their case here. They're basically with this right here. They're basically telling Warner Brothers that we're literally going to lie to you, but hey, come join us anyway because our real leader of the company, President Trump, is going to be more than happy. Wants your company more than ever. It's just like at that point, I would just say, yeah, we're not going to do this. And I'm glad that Warner Brothers is staying pat on this. They're not going ahead and doing this to. They're not going ahead and basically saying that they're not showing signs of letting go. They're saying we'll look at it, but more than likely they're we're not going to do this. So I am glad to see that Paramount is Warner Brothers is holding ground on this here. Hopefully that will continue. But this is this thing's gonna get uglier before we finally get to a resolution on this whole thing. I mean, look, Paramount, you are so stupid. It's just like you literally said at the beginning of the month, don't go to Netflix because they won't give you theatrical representation. Unlike we Now let me go ahead and take this movie off of our theatrical schedule here. I don't care if it doesn't make any money. The point of the matter is this movie was made for theaters. You don't take a movie like this and take it out of theaters when it was already made for theaters. There's no excuse for this, and it's just ridiculous at this point here. So yeah, there you go. That's that story there. Do we actually have anything else here? I thought I had one more thing I wanted to cover here, but let's see. Where is it? Where is it? No, that's it. That's all, we're actually done here. So those were the only the two big news stories that came out this week in entertainment. But let's go ahead and get to the other thing I wanted to make the main focus of this show, and that is the best and worst in television in 2025. So like I said before, 2025 was actually a pretty solid year for television in general. There was not a whole lot of really bad stuff. Let me tell you how not bad 2025 in TV was. When I was putting my top 10 worst of the year list together, I didn't even have enough for a top 10. I had 7 shows on here. And yeah, I dodged, whatever bullets were out there, I dodged a lot of them. So, actually, we're going to do something a little bit different this time around. We're actually going to start off with those shows, the worst TV shows of 2025. We can get through those pretty quickly, because like I said, there's only 7 of them. So, with that said, let's just jump on into it here, and we'll start off with number 7 on my list, and that is 99 to Beat, which is the latest game show from Fox, which features Ken Jeong and Aaron Andrews, and the idea of, and you look at it and think to yourself, well, the idea of it isn't that bad. 100 contestants competing in physical and unique challenges where the goal is not to finish first, nor to perform the best, but to not finish last. After each challenge, the player who comes in last will be eliminated, which will add $10,000 to the pot. The last person standing after a total of 50 games and 10 episodes besides the season finale will walk away with $1 million. Each episode has 4 solo games and 1 team game. In the event of a team game, the team who fails to win any heat or round or comes last will all be eliminated. Some team games feature team captains, which are decided randomly and have teams drafted via schoolyard pick. Other games feature multiple heats, while players or teams could come and last at each other, put into the elimination heat. Finally, pair games will have the pair who come in last face off against each other. In the event of a team game, the losing team will be split in half until the required numbers of contestants to be eliminated is reached. The show itself isn't absolutely terrible, but you can see the flaw with it right away. It's the fact that this is nothing but a rip-off of Fall Guys, mixing in with a little bit of 1 versus 100, which has a similar type of premise, except in 1 versus 100, you're answering questions for a game show, and in this one here, you basically are just doing these competitions overall, which, why don't you just get the rights to Fall Guys? I mean, why do you have to make it this hard to do, honestly? But like I said, it's only at the bottom here because I was really struggling to find shows to put on this list of the worst shows of the year. Case in point, number 6 on my list, which is Family Guy. Family Guy had a couple of Hulu exclusive episodes this season, and unlike last year where they actually had 2 really good ones, these ones were pretty crappy. Yeah, both of the Hulu specials they did this year were really, really awful. The Halloween episode, this is basically a standard Halloween episode. Brian and Stewie set out to write a hit Halloween song because, heaven forbid, there isn't a bunch of Halloween songs out there that this episode tries to pretend doesn't exist, but, I mean, come on, guys. It's just like that, and then Peter and the guys discovered that lying about trick-or-treating can have deadly consequences. Really? I mean, that's the best we're going to do here. I mean, this really was not that great. None of these plots are really good. When the Brian and Stewie plot, which is usually part of the stronger episodes, falls flat, you know you're in trouble. It's just like, and I don't like the fact that Stewie makes this argument about there's no other Halloween songs out there. It's just like, they bring up all these other songs, and yet nobody can say Werewolves of London. Like, there's no stakes in this at all. The main plot makes no sense whatsoever. They want to. Chris and Peter want to sneak out on Halloween, but Lois says no. He's too old. He's too young to do. He's too old to do this. It's just like, is this really what we're wasting a Hulu episode on? Really? Like, I mean, this was not a good episode. And then the second episode, the Christmas episode this year. Oh my God, was that awful? Like, this is a good idea to satirize and parody the generic ass Hallmark movies, but not this episode. No, no, no. We're gonna do that, but we're not gonna do is we're gonna do that, but we're gonna do it in the same way that Twilight and 50 Shades of Grey spoof movies went in the 2010s. Like, we're gonna jab them, but we won't insult or piss off the fans of these films. It's just like, yep. In other words, they don't do shit. All they do for 22 minutes is just talk about the flaws and character traits, and that's the comedy. That's all it is. Just nothing but dialogue over and over and over and over and over and over again. It's just like, come on, man. Like, this is getting ridiculous. And it's just like, I think what eventually I found out about this was these episodes in particular, that these Hulu episodes are specifically made so families can come in and watch Family Guy. Like, these are much more family friendly than the Fox episodes are, which is hard to believe because you would think that the Hulu exclusive episodes would be much more intense, like much more, what's the word I want to say here? More risque with it. You're on Hulu, you're on a streaming service where you can pretty much do whatever the hell you want to. And yet, this is what you're going to do. And this is your response to this. This is how you're going to do it. Just basically just poke the bear and then do nothing about it. Just run away like you've accomplished something. And it's just like, that's what it feels like watching these episodes. And these are really pathetic episodes. The first two episodes they did for Hulu were really good. But this is just absolutely abysmal. Like, this is just absolutely... These episodes are garbage. I really did not like these. Yeah, these are really bad. So... let's move on to number 5 on the list. Number 5, once again, Ryan Murphy trying to create a series where a serial killer is made into a sex symbol. And, after what they did with Jeffrey Dahmer and the Lyle and Eric Menendez story, here he does it again with the Ed Gein story. This time with Charlie Hunnam as Ed Gein, and incorporates media commentary on the cultural obsession with true crime, exploring Gein's influence on Hollywood and pop culture, and basically just doing whatever the hell they want to do, because they're not going to make a good show out of this, not at all. And this is yet another show where they're literally wasting everybody that's involved in here. You got Laurie Metcalf in here, Tom Hollander, who for some reason Alfred Hitchcock gets involved in this movie too for some reason. This is a terrible show, man. It's not even clever or scary. It's just boring. There's nothing about it that's intriguing whatsoever. This show only exists for one reason and one reason only. To basically make Ed Gein a sex symbol, just like they did with Jeffrey Dahmer and the Menendez brothers and the other shows. Just like, that's the problem with these shows in general. Ryan Murphy's writing style in general here. Even though he's not the main writer on this, he's actually not involved in this in terms of the writing department, but... you expect so much better from somebody like him who's been around long enough and can make good stuff in general, but yeah, this is another one where he just really misses the mark here. And Charlie Hunnam, I liked him from Sons of Anarchy and Pacific Rim. Even he wasn't that great in this overall. This was really a lackluster season of the show. That actually that could benefit from having some good stuff to it if the main focus wasn't just making sex symbols out of these serial killers. I mean, that's the biggest problem with these shows. I mean, it's just pretty much that. But, yeah, that's Monster, the Ed Gein stories. That's number 5 on the list. So, number 4 is Chad Powers. Man, talk about one of the biggest disappointments I've seen in a long, long time. This is a show that they were building up since the end of the last football season over a year ago. That you were seeing promos on TV showing this show and that they were really getting a lot of hype for. It sounds like a good idea. It follows Glenn Powell, who's a former star quarterback who makes a big mistake in a big bowl game, and he basically goes under a physical transformation with the help of prosthetics in a wig to disguise his identity in order to join a floundering football team at a small school under the name of Chad Powers. I mean, the biggest problem with the show right from the get-go is not even the fact that it's trying to be another Ted Lasso ripoff. I mean, you can see that coming a mile away, but the main character is not likable at all. In fact, he's pretty detestable overall. And, Glenn Powell's doing the best he can to save the show, but even then, that character of his, it's a badly written character. There's nothing about him that makes you say, let's go for it, man. Go be that hero. It's just no, there's nothing about this that works whatsoever, and it's a shame because the potential is there. And I've said a lot of good things about Glenn Powell, but he picks a lot of really bad projects. In fact, this year was probably the first movie I've liked him in since Top Gun Maverick and The Running Man. That was a great movie. This is a major letdown. But the good news is that it's getting another season, so hopefully they'll be able to fix a lot of those problems next season, and hopefully they will fix it around here and make it for a good show afterwards. But yeah, this this show is pretty lame. It's pretty bad overall, so let's go ahead and move on to number 3. Speaking of shows that rip off other shows, Welcome to Wrexham put a spinoff on there, which was basically a show set in Brazil, I think it was, on Nexcaca. I apologize, on Necaxa. I think I'm pronouncing that right, but yeah, it's basically a spin-off of Welcome to Wrexham, where Eva Longoria becomes an owner of a Mexican Association football club called Club Necaxa, and attempts to change the club's fortunes. I mean, that's pretty much the same thing with Welcome to Wrexham in general. I mean, it's pretty much that same type of a show, and that's the biggest problem with it overall. It never distances itself from Welcome to Wrexham to make it stand out on its own. You know, Welcome to Wrexham works because even if you're not the biggest soccer person ever, you're so compelled because you like everybody involved in here. You like the fact that Rob McElhenney and Ryan Reynolds are fully committed to this team becoming successful, and it shows in this show. But this time around, they just take the same thing, set it in Mexico, and bring in Eva Longoria along for the ride. That's really it. It doesn't have that same heartwarming and compelling feel that Wrexham does. It feels more like a pale imitator rather than something unique or fun overall. And that's really where the thing kind of stutters right from the get-go. Moving on to number 2. The number 2 worst show and the worst scripted show of the year. What a shocker. It's All's Fair, which again, good old Ryan Murphy back at it again. This is the show that stars Kim Kardashian, you know, and Naomi Watts, Niecy Nash-Betts, Tiana Taylor, Sarah Paulson, Glenn Close, and you know, Ryan Murphy was able to get a good performance out of Kim Kardashian in the last season of American Horror Story. That's what made that show so great. But, yeah, here, not so much. This is a show that centers around a group of high-skilled female divorce attorneys who depart a male-dominated law firm to establish their own practice. The team specializes in representing women in high-stakes divorce cases as they manage complex client relationships and contentious legal battles. The attorneys are confronting internal tensions and shifting alliances within their firm. Now, this is a show that I kind of knew going into it was not going to be good, but I thought maybe, you know, like I said, what Kim Kardashian did in that season of American Horror Story was promising. It was actually one of her best performances she's ever given, which really isn't saying a lot, but yeah, this show is so badly put together. Excuse me, so badly put together I couldn't stop coughing. But yeah, this show sucks. I mean, this really is one of those shows that is so badly written overall. When you know Kim Kardashian, I mean, I get it. Your father was a well-known attorney, but just because he was a well-known attorney doesn't mean that you can be one too. And yeah, this show is pretty bad. This is a really badly put together show. And this isn't written by hacks either. This is written by Ryan Murphy and written by John Robin Bates, who he's done a lot of stuff very familiar. I mean, he wrote for The West Wing, he wrote for Alias, he wrote for Brothers and Sisters, but then again, he also gave us the infamous The Slap and Dr. Odyssey and Grotesquerie. And so, yeah, not everything the guy has done is great, but he has done enough in the last 25 years to give you at least somewhat of an indication of maybe this show could actually turn out to be good, but it's just not, man. Like once Kim Kardashian is at the centerpiece of this, she brings all these seasoned actresses around her down with her. I mean, this was just, wow, this was bad. This was really, really bad. Like, I mean, some people consider it a camp classic, a so bad it's good type of show. Hey, more power to you, man. But even someone like me who went into it with a little bit more of a note to it, yeah, this is pretty bad. This is really, really bad. So yeah, this is easily the worst TV show of the year. But the number one worst TV event of the year is actually something that is not related to scripted television in general, but something that happened just last year. The number one worst TV show of the year was the College Football Playoff National Championship. The first year of this. Last year, everyone was making a big deal about, you know, which teams were going to get put in, which teams were going to get put out, and, you know, everyone was just like, well, why can't it be us this time around? Why can't this little school basically come in here and show everybody what we can do? Well, we found out pretty quickly why that is, because literally as soon as the first games happened, it was basically just... It was basically a disaster right from the get-go. I mean, this was rough to sit through that first year around. You know, you had teams that had the home field advantage. Tennessee, Clemson, Indiana, SMU. They all lost. They all lost to seeds that were much lower than them. Tennessee lost to Ohio State. Tennessee was ranked 9th. Ohio State was ranked 8th. Clemson lost to Texas. Clemson was 12th. Texas was 5. Indiana was 10th. Notre Dame was 7. SMU was 11th. 6th was Penn State. I mean, these are, and the worst part about it is all these games were blowouts. There was not one single game that was close. The scores may say otherwise, but look at the box scores for each of these games, and you'll see that most of these games were pretty much lopsided right from the get-go. And sadly, that has continued to expand this year with the games that we've had to start off here. And a lot of these games that started off were pretty much, blowouts pretty much, with the one exception being Miami and Texas A&M, which came down to the final 2 minutes in that one. But of course, then the controversy with, Notre Dame not being in there, but Tulane and James Madison got in there. Yeah, it's cool to have the small schools in there, but unfortunately, you're going up against teams like Ole Miss and Oregon who could score more points than they did in both of those games. Like, Oregon beat James Madison 51-34. Ole Miss beat Tulane 41-10. I mean, that's pretty bad. But yeah, this is not getting off to a good start here, but at least it's better than last year's games. Last year's playoff run was pretty bad. I mean, Notre Dame made such a big huff about missing this one we're doing right now. But did you see the way they came into the national championship against Ohio State? Yeah, they looked terrible in that game. So it's no wonder why the Buckeyes won that game. But, yeah, that's my thoughts on that. That's the worst TV event of the past year, the College Football National Championship, and, yeah, that was pretty bad. So, we got the bad stuff out of the way. Now let's go ahead and talk about the good stuff, the best TV that came out in 2025. So, like I said, there was a lot of good television in 2025, and there was a lot of stuff I hadn't seen yet. I haven't seen Pluribus, the Apple TV Plus series. In fact, I didn't see most of the Apple TV shows in particular, with a couple of exceptions that we'll get to as we go along here. But of the stuff I saw, here's the ones that didn't quite make the list. They were just barely off the list here. So, honorable mentions here, starting off with I Love LA, the new HBO show starring Rachel Sennott. A really fun show, man. One of the best HBO shows they've done in a long time. Showing off the true talents of Sennott in general, who I've always been a fan of since The Bear and Saturday Night. And, Josh Hutcherson's really good on the show, playing her love interest on there. It's a really good show. It's a really funny show. If you haven't checked it out, it's just premiered on HBO in the last couple of months. Definitely worth checking out there. The Pit, what do you got to say about that? That hasn't already been said already. The Pit was a really good show. I mean, it's not ER all over again. It's basically a show where they are taking more chances with it. And it's a show where, if you haven't heard about it, it's a bunch of emergency department staff as they attempt to overcome the hardships of a single 15-hour work shift at the fictional Pittsburgh Trauma Medical Center, all while having to navigate staff shortages and underfunding. It's a really good show. I see why it won the Best Drama Series Emmy this year. It was actually really good, and actually seems like the medical community is taking to it very well, too. I mean, a lot of people really seem to like that. And Noah Wyle, hey, get a chance to really show off what you can do as a leading actor, and it really works. It's a really good show. If you don't have HBO Max, it's also on TNT, too. The Lowdown. Talk about a great year for Ethan Hawke doing this, and then Black Phone 2. Another really good showcase for him, made by the same people that made Reservation Dogs. FX's 2025 has been pretty solid overall. The only real show that didn't work was Adults, but this is probably one of the best shows they've done in a long, long time. I really enjoyed it. Definitely check it out if you haven't seen it. The Lowdown, fantastic show. Daredevil, Born Again. Disney Plus basically saying that, hey, even though we're a family company, we're not allowed to go ahead and get insane with it. We're not allowed to go over the top with it in terms of storytelling and going places that Disney wouldn't usually go down. This is a really good show. This is a really impressive show, bringing back Charlie Cox and Vincent D'Onofrio once again from the Netflix series, and showing a big mature shift for the MCU in general. Just a phenomenal show. The Paper, basically an Office reboot with Domhnall Gleeson at the helm of it. And yeah, there are definitely a lot of parallels to The Office in it, but it's a good show overall that does eventually make it stand out on its own. Really good show on Peacock. Has Been Hotel, Hell of a Boss. What more can I say about those shows that hasn't already been said already? Animation-wise, great. The music is very well done. You like the characters a lot. I mean, just a fun show. Fun shows overall for both of them. The Hunting Wise. Here's what All's Fair was trying to be. A show that indulges in its sleaziness. I mean, it's a show that knows exactly who its target audience is and just says, fuck it, we're going to have fun, boys. We're going to do a lot of fun with this. And, I mean, how can you go wrong with a show with Brittany Snow and Malin Ackerman having intense lesbian sex on there? I mean, who doesn't want to see that if you're a guy or a woman? Either way. Mid-Century Modern, a show that I thought was going to end up on my worst of the year list, but sure enough, as the show went along, I did kind of enjoy it. I actually was really impressed by what I saw from it early on. And yeah, I gave it a second shot, and I really thought it actually came together pretty well. It basically is taking a mix between Will and Grace and the Golden Girls, but like peak Will and Grace and Golden Girls, like back when the shows were in their prime and didn't feel like they got lost in the later years. I mean, this is a show that does feel like a good job of recreating an old school comedy from NBC and CBS back in the day with Nathan Lane, Matt Bomer, Nathan Lee Graham, Linda Lavin. I mean, it was a really good show, and I'm really glad I got a chance to watch it again a second time around because, yeah, the show is pretty awesome overall. Next up, the Saturday Night Live 50th Anniversary Special. I actually was really impressed with what they were able to do with that, even though half of the main cast from back in the day didn't show up for this one here. And it was actually a very different show than I was expecting. I thought it was just going to be classic clips all over again, but no, they took chances with it. They actually did a lot of funny comedy with what they had to work with there. And it led to a lot of really good stuff. It's really one of the best Saturday things to come out of Saturday Night Live in a long, long time. And, hey, I'll throw these guys in here, too. Jimmy Kimmel Live, Stephen Colbert, for basically getting consistently harassed and threatened by the presidency, by nearly getting them canceled. But these guys are just like, hey, we don't care, man. We're going to keep doing what we're doing best. And Jimmy Kimmel, man, I mean, talk about a really rough year for them. I mean, not only does he have this whole thing happen, but then Cleto from Cleto and the Cletones passes away just a couple weeks ago. And it's just... I mean, the guy's been through a lot, and he's not afraid to show his emotions out there. Some people will look at him and go like, "Oh, wimp," you go crybaby. It's just like, dude, if you've seen the year that this Jimmy Kimmel and his family have had this year, yeah, that's pretty much it. You have nothing to say to that guy except, hey, more power to you, man. Good, you keep doing you. I mean, Jimmy Kimmel really is somebody that definitely deserves a lot more attention for what he did this year, in spite of what's been going on with the presidency in general. And Stephen Colbert, too. I mean, Stephen Colbert basically got fucked over by the new heads at CBS. And, yeah, don't tell me that the ratings were bad for him, even though since then, ratings for the Late Show with Stephen Colbert have actually been better than they have been. Yeah, they weren't losing ratings or money. It was basically a ploy to get in connection with the presidency, the Trump presidency. Case in point, what's going on with 60 Minutes right now. But there you go. Those are the honorable mentions. Now let's go ahead and get to the top 10 best shows of 2025 according to me. And yet another power outage, but this one was very short, about 9 minutes in length. So we're good to go here. So let me go ahead and just run through these real quickly before the power goes out again. But these are my top 10 best TV shows of 2025. And we're starting off with number 10 on my list, and that is It, Welcome to Derry. Of course, this is based off of the more recent It movies, It and It Chapter 2. And this is an interesting show because it's a show that starts off right from the get-go lying to you in a way that is very unusual because the premise of the show is that it takes place in 1962. A couple with their son move to Derry, Maine. Just as a young boy disappears, with their arrival, bad things begin to happen in the town. And it kind of changes over from, like, the first episode right from the get-go really sucks you in because it's not a show that you think it's going to be. It's a show that takes a lot of chances. And again, it does what HBO does so well. It's not afraid to go insane when it needs to. And it really goes into this deep backstory with Pennywise, once again brilliantly played by Bill Skarsgård. Has this great creepy atmosphere to it, and it just keeps you on the edge of your seat all throughout this show. I mean, this is an impressive feat for television in general. This is what this franchise has done so well with these movies, with these recent films and all. I mean, they take a lot of chances and they do not pump the brakes no matter what. This is a really, really damn good show overall. I highly recommend it. It, Welcome to Derry. Seek this one out if you haven't seen it already. Moving on to number 9 on the list, we have Your Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man. Coming 1 year after the Marvel animation show X-Men 97, which was my favorite show of last year. And obviously this one's not quite as up to that level, but this was a show that got criticized early on. A lot of people really was looking at this trailers and thought that this was going to be terrible. Far from it, man. This show is impressively put together with a unique animation style, a fun, solidly put together show, very entertaining at its own style that makes it stand out on its own. A great usage of its characters to make the show stand out too. Strong cast overall in here, and it does connect very well to the MCU in general, even though it's an animated show. It's a really good show. It's a really impressively put together show. I thought it was pretty fun. I think it was very well done overall. Kind of got lost in the shuffle as the year went on, but definitely seek this one out if you haven't seen it. Your Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man definitely is worth the watch. Moving on to number 8 on the list, we have Dying for Sex, which is a miniseries starring Michelle Williams as a woman who she realizes that she's been diagnosed with terminal cancer and leaving her husband in search of an orgasm. And so she basically just decides to go out and just go on this sexual adventure, and it's really captivating overall. It really felt like you were getting the sense of Fleischman is in Trouble, that great show that came out a couple of years ago with Jesse Eisenberg and Claire Danes, mixed in with a little bit of a film from a Searchlight Pictures film like The Sessions, which this show very much is very comparable to. And Michelle Williams is pretty solid in this show. I mean, it's a very well-done show. It's not just a show that's made to titillate the audience and all that. It's an engaging storyline, and it really does work on a number of different levels. And Michelle Williams gave one of her strongest performances ever, and I was really disappointed she didn't win the lead actress in the limited or anthology series or movie, but then again, you're going up in the same category as Kristen Milotti from The Penguin, which, yeah, that's going to be tough to do, but regardless, this is still a really fun show overall, really enjoyable. Definitely check it out on Hulu if you haven't seen it. So let's go ahead and move on to number 7, which is It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia, with one of their best seasons in a long, long time. And that's saying a lot, because every season of It's Always Sunny has been really good. But, I mean, teaming up with Abbott Elementary for one of the greatest crossovers we never knew we needed was just so well done. I mean, this show is still just as funny, just as clever, just as stupid, and just as engaging as it's always been. And this year in particular, I mean, the first episode crossing over with Abbott Elementary, because It's Always Sunny, because when It's Always Sunny made it over to Abbott Elementary to begin the year, it was in the same vein of Abbott Elementary. It was a show that was basically set in the same world where, you know, it was toned down completely, but there's still a little bit of flashes of Sunny in there. When Abbott Elementary crosses over with Sunny in the season premiere, I mean, the moment that you hear Quanita Brunson calling Sweet D a "see you next Tuesday," I laughed my ass off the first time I heard that. I mean, I thought that was just so fucking funny, man. But not only that, there's great episodes. There's a great episode after that where Frank ends up in a coma and they think that Frank's gonna die. But then, as it turns out, the body that they were looking at was a cake all along. Like, it's one of those, it's a weird thing. It's just like, what the, I turned my head to the first time around, not noticing what was going on. When I looked at the TV at first, I saw Frank lying there in the coma. I looked over for a second, then I turned around, and they literally have his head was cut open, and it looked like he had cake, and it was a cake. It's just like, what the fuck is going on here? But, yeah, as it turns out, that's exactly what it was. It was a whole idea of, you know, could the guys tell if that was actually Frank or a real cake? And yeah, it made for one of the more funnier episodes I've ever seen from the show. But then they get to The Golden Bachelor. I mean, I love the fact that the show was The Golden Bachelor was so primed to be made fun of, and they knock it out of the park with this episode. I mean, this is so well done. I mean, this is a brilliant, brilliant finale, satirizing The Bachelor in general. I mean, I like the fact that The Bachelor was even so appealing to let them do this, and they got away with it good time, and it made for one of the best episodes they've ever done. Plus, a good goodbye to saying a good farewell to Charlie's mother, Lynn Marie Stewart, who passed away just before the show came on the air. And I mean, really, really solid episode, really, really solid season. It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia, man. This show never gets old. It never, ever gets old. I mean, it's like it's like South Park, except I think It's Always Sunny has been more consistent. And I just realized South Park's not on this honorable mentions list here, which I probably should throw that in there, because South Park did have one of their stronger seasons in a long, long time. But I digress. Let's go ahead and move on now to number 6 on the list. That's right, number 6, and that is the second season of Andor on Disney Plus. And the first season of Andor was pretty good, but I really enjoyed what they did with the second season in general. I mean, after the first season that was so good, this one blew a lot of my expectations out of the water. This really is the best thing Disney has done with Star Wars to date. They've expanded on the story, the tension, the darker elements get more intense, and you get invested in what's going to happen with these characters. And it's sadly the last season of the show, and I would love to have seen more of these, but hey, go out on top when you can, man. I mean, it's good to go out on top instead of just making another season for the sake of money. And, you know, if this can inspire the next batch of Star Wars projects going forward and how to expand it in the universe, I think the future looks bright for Star Wars under Disney overall. So there you go. That's number 6 on the list, Andor Season 2. Starting off number 5 on the list, we have the show that everyone was talking about this year, The Studio. Where Seth Rogen is the newly appointed head of a floundering film company, and he's a self-described cinephile, and he struggles to balance the company's corporate aims in an increasingly IP-driven entertainment landscape with its own ambition to produce quality films. Seth Rogen's in a cast that also includes Catherine O'Hara, Ike Barinholtz, Catherine Hahn. You have a bunch of cameos from a whole group of celebrities. This is one of the most enjoyable TV shows out there, with a show that, you know, this is a movie lover's dream come true, because this show easily does take shots at things that people don't want to delve into. Like Ice Cube has a great episode where, you know, he basically doesn't want to do an AI. It just basically says fuck AI in front of this big crowd at Comic-Con. And, you know, the show just continues to have these great moments in there. You can tell that this is a show that the studios in particular were really looking at it going like, oh, we don't want to be involved in this. And yeah, since then studios have been very much against the show in general, but it's still a really, really funny show. And kudos to Lionsgate and Apple TV for going for it on this. And, you know, Seth Rogen giving one of his strongest performances I've ever seen from him. It's no wonder why the show won all the awards it won, including Best Comedy Series, and Seth Rogen winning the Emmy for leading actor in the comedy series. But terrific show overall. The Studio. It's another one of those shows that makes you want to get Apple TV Plus. And I watched the show with a free trial, and yeah, I want to get Apple TV, but I'm just not ready to go for that yet. So just not yet, at least. Moving on to number 4 on the list, we have Good Night and Good Luck live on Broadway. Of course, this is based off of the 2005 George Clooney movie, in which he also directed. And this was basically a Broadway production that CNN decided in the middle of early on in the summertime to put the show live on television and make it the first Broadway production to be aired live on TV. And it was brilliant stuff, man. It was a really good representation of the original film in general, with George Clooney starring as Edward R. Murrow in his continuing battle with U.S. Senator Joseph McCarthy of Wisconsin regarding the senator's investigation and use of the Senate Permanent Subcommittee on Investigations to blacklist people suspected of being communists. And near the end, the play adds a projected montage depicting the events of evolution of news coverage, showing archival footage including the destruction of the World Trade Center, the January 6th attack, and ending with Elon Musk's Nazi salute from last year. Needless to say, we needed this in the time and age that we're living in now, with, you know, the Trump administration now in, and now he's going after broadcast television again. Look at what he's done to 60 Minutes in the last year and a half. I mean, it's just tough to watch overall here, and I think it was very cool and interesting to see George Clooney bring this to the stage, and for CNN to just go all in on this and just put this on the air. It was a terrific feat overall. George Clooney was great. You have Alana Glazer, Clark Gregg, a lot of really good people in here. Christopher Denham, Franz Kranz. Just a terrific, terrific cast involved in this. And it's a really good adaptation of a really damn good movie from 20 years ago. If you haven't seen it, seek it out already. It's available it's coming out on Blu-ray this week, and I would recommend that indeed. But Good Night and Good Luck on Broadway. Number 4 on my list. Number 3 on my list is a show that came out early in the year, did very well, Paradise. This is a political thriller series set in a city-sized underground bunker in Colorado 3 years after a doomsday event. The series follows the U.S. secret agent Xavier Collins, played by James Marsden, as he seeks to discover the truth behind the killing of the Sterling K. Brown, Xavier Collins, not James Marsden. He's actually the president in this, behind the killing of the President of the United States. As Xavier comes under suspicion for President Bradford's death, he searches for answers about what really happened, is unsure of whom he can trust, as his questions lead to many shocking revelations. And this is a show that's very much trying to mimic 24 in general, but I was really surprised at how they did this and made it work. I mean, this is actually a really clever slick and generally suspense-filled, twisty political thriller that really does take you off guard and plays with your expectations in the best kind of way possible. I really got a sense of Severance while watching this show, and we'll touch on that later on, but it really did feel like that. But Sterling K. Brown continuing his hot streak as an actor with a strong leading role, Juliana Nicholson getting a chance to shine as, and even James Marsden in those flashbacks as the president really does show the acting chops that this guy has. Not to mention this is made by Dan Fogelman, who has also made great underrated gems like Gallivant, The Neighbors, Pitch, This Is Us. I mean, this is a guy who's been involved in a lot of good stuff overall, and he delivers yet another really great thing here. This is a really damn good show. It's an excellent achievement. One of the best shows I've seen this year. Great cast, great twists and turns, great suspense all across the board. A must-watch show if you haven't seen it. Paradise definitely is worth the watch. So let's go ahead and move on to, speaking of Severance, number 2. Severance. This really is one of the most coolest looking shows you'll ever see. And like I said before, you see if you ever saw The Secret Life of Walter Mitty, you see a lot of what's going to eventually come into Severance in this show. And it's incredible to watch. If you don't remember what happens, this is a show that follows employees at Lumen Industries, a biotechnology corporation that has undergone severance, a procedure that splits a person's memory between works and their personal life. This creates two separate identities for employees: the innie, who has no knowledge of the outside world, and the outie, who lives their lives outside with any knowledge of the job. The cast includes Adam Scott, Zach Cherry, Britt Lauer, Tremel Tillman, Dickman Lockman, Christopher Walken, Patricia Arquette, and John Turturro, who really delivers one of the best performances of his career in in which episode was? I think it was Who Was Alive, where he just goes down on this mental breakdown at the end of the episode, and it's just so gut-wrenching to watch in general. It's one of the best John Turturro performances I've ever seen from him. I said the wrong episode. It's Woes Hollow, where you find the great performance by John Turturro, where he's just like, he is just so... This really is one of the strongest performances I've ever seen from him, man. I mean, this is just pitch-perfect stuff right here.
Mr. Milkshake! What? Hey! Turn her back, Mr. Milkshake! What are you doing, man? Turn her back! She's not Helly! She's an Egan! Turn her back, Mr. Milkshake! Turn her back! God damn it, stop doing! Yes! Do it, Seth!
I mean, that's the best thing I've seen from John Turturro in a long time. And he's done a lot of great stuff in the last couple of years. I mean, this is bordering back to Miller's Crossing levels of good. I mean, the guy is a fantastic actor. And this episode in particular should have won him an Emmy for best supporting actor. But yeah, this unfortunately did not, and didn't really win a lot of awards, which I really think is going to hurt it in the long run in particular. I mean, this is a really, really good show that definitely deserves a lot more attention. And yeah, this is a terrific show. I can't recommend the show enough. Severance is definitely worth it. But let's go ahead and get to my number one favorite TV show of the year, and that is King of the Hill. After all these years, King of the Hill has returned with a new season. Everybody has aged in the last couple of years. The show has now evolved. I think it's 10 years down the road, I think it is, or something like that. But 10, 11 years, I think. I was close, 8 years. 8 years after the events of the show's last episode. Everyone has, of course, moved on. Peggy and Hank have come back to Ireland after years in Saudi Arabia. Bobby has now become a chef. You see where everybody's been since then. And it's... this is, out of all the many reboots and revivals we've gotten over the last few years, this one easily takes it out of the park. It's been so long since we've seen these characters. The show's been gone for 15 years up until this point, but even though the characters are grown up now, this show has not lost a beat at all. The voice actors, they can be distracting at first, the new ones coming in here, but you get used to it pretty quickly. I thought Toby Huss did a pretty good job as Dale once they got him involved, and Ronnie Chang actually wasn't as bad as Khan as I think people made him out to be, but the best character in this is Bobby. I mean, he's already a great character in the original show, but it's very fascinating to watch a 21-year-old like him operating his own restaurant, doing things his own way. Like, he doesn't go to college. He runs this restaurant that's owned by Chang, who has more of a bigger presence in this, Chang Wasanasong, and you're gonna find out why in a little bit here, but why that is. But the character progression with him throughout the season is amazing to watch, and I do like that he and Hank bond closer together, even though their views of the modern world are always different. And I like that Bobby is kind of a ladies' man early on, and yet he and Connie still have that amazing chemistry together. And, you know, Connie's been dating Cheng in an open relationship for most of the season, which I thought was pretty freaking hilarious. But what's great about it is that even though everyone has aged, Hank and Peggy have not changed their ways or their characters to where they would at the end of the show, meaning that they're willing to adapt to the changing world. One of the best examples of that is in the first episode where they're considering moving back to Saudi Arabia because they feel like they can't handle the changing world in Arlen. And then they go into the Megalomart and see all these Girl Scout cookies being sold. And Hank basically asks for his favorite Samoas, but they're renamed Caramel Delights. But it's because it's more respectful to people from Samoa. And Hank is like, that's a good change. And the Girl Scouts are like, it's nice to be nice. And I think with that right there, it's nice to be nice. And that right there is what makes this so good and makes you realize we are in good hands right now. We need this show now more than ever, especially with the world we're living in today. I mean, this is a great show. This was a show that I touched on the show not too long ago. It was one of my favorite TV shows of all time. This show really does knock it out of the park, man. This is a show that returns to full form, comes back swinging as it never left. It's really one of the best revivals we've had in a long time and stands alone as the television highlight of the year. No show has come close to this. King of the Hill is just absolute brilliance. This is my favorite TV show of 2025. It's not even close. It's definitely the best show of the year. Easily. Easily. So there you go. That is my best and worst TV shows of the year. And, of course, next week I'll have my best movies of the year on talking about the movies. But in the meantime, that's going to wrap up the first Reviewing Network Live of the new year, of the last Reviewing Network Live of 2025, as we'll jump into 2026 next week. And, yeah, I'm going to try to get out of here now before another power failure happens, which is probably going to do. But with all that said, thank you so much for watching this and enjoying this, and I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please go ahead and hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, hit the notification button, and also check out our last episode we did, as well as check out the playlist below so you can see the other episodes we've done. And that's it. With all that said, thank you so much for watching and listening, and I will see you guys next time. Until then, we are out.